Hi, welcome to Flash Fantasy. Today, we're going to be opening our first ever Flash Fantasy Football League. Today, you have me and Norris going to be picking some picks in the 10th position of a 12-man team, 12-man league. So, without further ado, in about 2 minutes, we're going to start. Before we get started, Norris, what are some strategies you have going into the draft today?
Strategies going in. We're looking at a PPR league right now. Like you said, it's 12 deep. So I'm going running backs early. Running backs have all the value. They touch the ball a lot. And we obviously see a good majority of the running backs that exist right now and that are employed are good at catching the ball and running the ball. So as opposed to a wide receiver who most of the time catches the ball only, unless you're Tyreek going on sweeps and whatnot. So that's the strategy at first. First couple of rounds go running back and then get into your wide receiver game. Don't wait too late for a quarterback, but I know that with your strategy, you are willing to wait in those later rounds and whatnot. But I usually don't. I like to get mine around between the ninth and 11th pick. But I don't know if that's average for you people out there listening or watching, but that's kind of how I look at things.
Yeah, comment below and see, tell us when you pick up your quarterback. Like Norris said, I usually wait. I wait till 14th, maybe 15th round sometimes, depending on the draft. But yeah, this is a 12-man, 12-team league. We shared it on our Instagram and through our Facebook. We'll be opening one more league in this year, and the winner of our Flash Fantasy Football Leagues will win $20. So you got to make yourself all the way to first place, and you got to make it through us. So the challenge is there for anybody in the league. Everybody, good luck, and let's start the draft. With 3, 2, 1, and the draft has begun.
Begin.
On the first pick, Norris, most of the time we're going to see the first pick be Christian McCaffrey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't, I mean, there's not enough people to even consider taking anybody over Christian McCaffrey.
right. I can, especially in a redraft, for those listening and watching, yes, this is a redraft league. This is not a keeper or dynasty. So yeah.
All right, they're taking their sweet time for the first pick. Overall, they're deliberating.
Yeah, they are ready to put us on eggshells,
If this person did go, let's say Ezekiel Elliott, how would you feel about that? What would be your reaction?
My reaction is whoever has a second pick in the draft just won the league.
Okay, so what do you think the odds are of a team who owns Christian McCaffrey of winning the league?
Oh, that's tough. The odds. All right, I'll put it to about 50%. 50% likely. They have a pretty high shot.
Wow. I'm gonna say a more precise number, 37%. That might be
37%.
that might not be right, but whatever. Christian McCaffrey finally off the board.
Yeah. And right behind him, Saquon Barkley.
What a trendy pick.
Yeah. So what do you think's going to come back to us in the 10th pick?
I mean, man, depending on the strategies of these guys, honestly, I think a guy like Alvin Kamara might fall to us. Um, Let me see here. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, some guys I've seen fall all the way to 10 so far in my mock drafts. Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook has I've seen that. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. Personally, I think I think we can steal somebody like Derrick Henry or um, go a little bit lower and get Kenyon Drake at number 10 and be in a really good spot.
Hmm. Mike Thomas at number 4, pick number 4.
Pick number 4. That is the first wide receiver out the board, and we can definitely, yeah, I could definitely see that like being the only wide receiver in the first round.
In the entire first round.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Like, I just think most people are running back heavy. They're
Hmm.
not that. There's not a whole lot in the league, and to be honest, if we can get Kenyon Drake with the first pick, and somebody like D Hop is still on the board in the second round, I would consider it.
Right. Hmm. We're at pick number 5.
Pick number 5, yeah. And this is there. Everybody's on a 2 minute clock for those, or a minute and a half clock actually. Um, You know what? It is interesting. I'm reading through the comments, and someone just made a pretty funny point to me with the whole Michael Thomas, Drew Brees stuff that's going on. Um, you think that's going to affect his fantasy value?
No, no, I don't believe so. Because at the end of the day, um, the only extreme that I could see happening is, which nothing leads to this thought because we've already seen Michael Thomas express his forgiveness for Drew Brees and how he wants to move on. So at the end of the day, they want to win. If they want to win, that means that he's going to be on the field. And that's the only way that the Saints will end up winning and making it into the playoffs, by seeing Drew Brees and Michael Thomas kind of repeat what they did last year.
Wow, that's I mean, we saw Devontae Adams go with the 6th pick, and the 7th pick was Tyreek Hill, 8th pick being Alvin Kamara. It almost fell back. He almost came all the way back.
Yeah, it was close.
So we're on the clock.
There's 4 receivers now that's gone.
That is, yeah, that's very true. So to give you guys a quick recap of everybody that's gone, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Michael Thomas, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Hopkins, and now we are on the clock with the 10th overall pick. Derrick Henry is there.
Going.
I I'm gonna hand it over to you, Norris. You make the decision. Personally, I would take Joe Mixon over Derrick Henry. But
Okay. And I can understand that. I can understand that based on last year. I think Joe Mixon is going to continue to trend upwards with his dual threat game, especially with Joe running the show now. But I gotta go Derrick Henry, man.
yeah.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it.
All right, so that's our pick with the 10th overall pick. We're taking Derrick Henry. Uh, some people might hate us for it, but I think it's a solid pick. I think it's something that we can really do, like as our RB1, and maybe we can get one of these receiving backs. Personally, if Kenyon Drake falls to us with our second round pick, it's a thing of beauty. That two-headed monster with Derrick Henry and Kenyon Drake is going to be phenomenal.
Right.
And broke my heart. Okay, so
Aaron Jones is not a bad pick.
it is not a bad pick. So quick recap between our first round into the second round so far: Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Josh Jacobs, and right before us, Kenyon Drake. Okay, so some running backs on the board. We still have Joe Mixon right there. We have Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette. Those are the top running backs on the board right now. I got to plug Austin Eckler here. I would love to go, but I'm gonna say Joe Mixon right here.
So you would take Joe Mixon over Nick Chubb for sure.
For sure.
Okay.
So we can agree on Joe Mixon on this one.
Hey, yeah.
All right.
He's a great player.
Joe Mixon it is. So far, our team is looking pretty decent with Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, 2 star running backs. Should be a focal point of their teams. Mm-hmm. The only down part of having Derrick Henry in a PPR league is there's no receiving work that you're gonna get from him. They said that they want to get his targets up, but I don't know how much that means, seeing that he only caught 18 balls, and that was his career record of 18 catches. So they did draft a running back, and later on we can I think we could definitely see Derry. Now I'm sorry, don't roast me in the comments, guys, but Darrington Evans. If I'm saying it wrong, send us a message on how to pronounce his name phonetically, okay? But
It'll be okay. It'll
okay.
be okay.
But anyways, I like Darrington Evans as a late round pick, so we could definitely see something like that. So after Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones was drafted. Those are some great guys to get in your second round. A lot of these guys surprisingly went wide receiver. Now, in the off chance, right, the crazy opportunity that Austin Eckler falls to the third round, the end of the third round for us, there's no way that I'm not taking him. There's no way. I wouldn't be able to pass up on that and still wear this hat.
Hey, 90-something receptions in the 99?
96, yeah, 96.
96.
He actually beat. I've been listening to some stats, guys, and he beat Christian McCaffrey on points through receptions last year. So that's a phenomenal thing to do.
Say that stat one more time.
He beat Christian McCaffrey through points in the air. So receptions and yards after reception, yards after the catch. He had more points than Christian McCaffrey.
Interesting.
In that alone, not as a total. And wow, that was a bit of a deep dive.
Yes, Miles Sanders
going before Austin Eckler, going before Leonard Fournette, and then Mike Evans. That is surprising.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But I do think Miles Sanders has some good upside. I'm just not going to draft him like on his upside, you know? I've looked at some drafts. He is going on average around that second, third round pick. And there he goes. Right after Miles Sanders, we got Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, and then Austin Eckler. So it doesn't look like we'll have that steal in the third round. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities for a running back or a good wide receiver in this third round. There's a lot that's going back. Here we go. Now we're hitting the stride of the draft where people are picking left and right. We have Leonard Fournette, Kenny Galladay, and DJ Moore off the board. You know, what do you think about DJ Moore this year as a wide receiver one? Do you think you can trust him at your wide receiver one position?
It's
obviously these guys.
It's an interesting spot because I think he's capable. I don't have the confidence to pick him and put him in that position as my wide receiver one. But to be fair, honestly, if you have a solid receiving core on your team, you know, with a solid flex, somebody like Robert Woods and whatnot, you can manage. You can manage, but you have to be strong in wide receiver and tight end position. You got to be well-rounded if you're going to have DJ Moore as your number one.
For sure. I think we, as our team now looks with Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon, we could get DJ Moore as our wide receiver one, as someone equivalent to DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like we said earlier, I'm one to wait on the quarterback, but let's say Lamar Jackson falls to us in the third round, right? More than likely he will. What are you thinking about taking Lamar Jackson?
What I think about it, you're getting two positions for one. That's what I think about it. It's the same approach with Christian McCaffrey. You're getting a wide receiver and a running back. With Lamar Jackson, you are getting a running back and a quarterback. I'll put respect on his name. He's a quarterback first, you know, then running back. But that's what I think about it.
Yeah, I think,
you know, with if we look at the wide receivers that are available, and even though it's the third round, his name and stats are just way more attractive than going, you know, for the wide receiver position.
Right. So let's talk about some of the wide receivers available right now. With the top of the board, I mean, there's Cortland Sutton for some reason, ranked above Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, Odell Beckham, Robert Woods. I would take any of those guys over Cortland Sutton. So we're on the board. Lamar Jackson is the number one pick right now. That's who I'm leaning towards, but we could go another running back in Todd Gurley or David Johnson. I think that would be solid. What do you think?
So I'm thinking, like we stated earlier, we have Derrick Henry, and Joe Mixon. At this point, I would go into a different skill position. Typically on my team, I would either go wide receiver or, in this situation, again, it's Lamar Jackson, number 2 fantasy player of 2019. Well, number 1, but I'm talking about like who I'm going to pick first,
Right.
as opposed to Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at going Lamar Jackson because he's going to finish over mostly all of the receivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Lamar and see what running back does fall to us, or wide receiver. It might be like this is part of a draft too. You might take that risk. Maybe we could have got Lamar in the 4th round, depending on what other guys are gonna go with. But I don't know. I'll take that risk with the bottom of the 3rd. His usual ADP is somewhere around the mid 3rd round to late. Even I've seen him go as early as the 2nd round. So for us to have Lamar, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, and potentially pick up somebody like David Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, I think we're overall in a solid position. And so out of those 3 names, all 3 of those names have fallen back to us. Well, not just yet. There's one pick in front of us. Quick recap, guys. I'm sorry I left you out last time. After we picked Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper, Miles Sanders, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, Austin Eckler, Leonard Fournette, Kenny Galladay. That was all the 2nd round. Beginning of the 3rd round, you have DJ Moore, Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson, Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now that's a solid pick within the 3rd round. I think that's going to be you're banking on that capital. You're banking on that ceiling that we don't know about. That's the hesitancy for me with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have Devin Singletary, George Kittle, Le'Veon Bell. We chose Lamar Jackson, Todd Gurley, and Melvin Gordon finishing out the 3rd round. And into the 4th round, we have Odell Beckham and David Johnson. And now to us with the 3rd pick in the 4th round. So there's some guys that I like at wide receiver right here. Keenan Allen, Tyler Lockett, and Robert Woods. But we could strengthen our running back position right here with Chris Carson. But who would you rather take, Chris Carson or one of these wide receivers, Norris?
So Chris Carson, he's an interesting pick at this point. We have about 40 seconds left. I definitely, my heart, I would take Keenan Allen over Chris Carson, but that means that he would be our, we could do some wiggle room with him. Chris Carson is a solid pick, though.
Yeah, I think going wide receiver here could benefit us in the future. There's so much depth at wide receiver, so we can secure this wide receiver 1. Now, I'm going to leave it up to you between our wide receivers. I would take any of the 3 of Keenan Allen, Lockett, and Woods. Who do you want to take?
Let's go Lockett.
Lockett it is. Lockett it in. Oh, man. That heartbeat, like when you stop for a second, you see the clock stop, and you're like, oh, my gosh, did my computer just freeze?
Yeah.
That was that second. Oh, man. So we have Tyler Lockett. Right after that, Cortland Sutton went off the board. I just feel like that's such a high pick for Cortland Sutton, man. With Jerry Jeudy, Drew Lock is up in the air of what he's going to actually do this year. So I don't know, man. That's too much to pay for Cortland Sutton. And Chris Carson, like you said, could be a pretty valuable pick, but the injuries scare me. The signing of Carlos Hyde doesn't really scare me away, but
the fumbles.
Yeah. And it's a hip injury. I've been looking into that and listening to some medical podcast, of injuries, and I'm super surprised right now. Nobody's taking Robert Woods. Um, I've seen Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs go right now, but the injuries, he got a hip injury last year, and he chose not to get surgery on it. So there's a very optimal chance of him re-injuring that hip, which is not good for fantasy owners to put stock in. And he does go out the board after Stephon Diggs, James Conner, and Chris Carson. It looks like that was an auto draft pick too, which is sad to see. For those listening, if you do join a draft, try and not let yourself go to auto pick, or set up your queue so you can get the players that you want in the position that you want them. Chris Carson, I think if this person was in the draft, he might have fell a little bit more. Right after Chris Carson, T.Y. Hilton. It's interesting to see Keenan Allen still here in the bottom of the fourth round. Robert Woods is still here. Calvin Ridley. These are all guys that I would take. Okay, there's Robert Woods right off the board. These are all guys that I would take pretty well at least my wide receiver too. A big part of the playing the draft is understanding like what other teams need. And there goes Keenan at the beginning of the fifth, end of the fourth. It's Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley. Beginning of the fifth round was Zach Ertz. Mm-hmm. So that is the third tight end off the board. So to look at some of these guys' teams right now, we could start with Fantasy Intel, who I believe had the first overall pick. Mm-hmm. He has Christian McCaffrey, Kenny Galladay, DJ Moore, Zach Ertz, and Calvin Ridley. So his wide receiver core is pretty fire, but he's really lacking at running back, and that's why we take the position of drafting running backs early. Mm-hmm. Looking at the second overall pick, we have Team Extreme, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen, Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert is a solid pick. I haven't seen – this is the guy that I'm targeting for those who could see my screen, but I personally would take David Montgomery over Raheem Mostert this year at least. But I don't know. Maybe we can get David Montgomery and another wide receiver in these next two picks. But that's Team Extreme. Team Huge Stooge, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Mark Ingram. So he has a pretty solid running back core and then some wide receivers to boot. Tight end, I think we're one of the only people that have a quarterback right now. Somebody else did draft Patrick Mahomes, and that's Team Castaneda. Castaneda? Yeah, I think so. Patrick Mahomes, and he just took David Montgomery out the board. What a guy.
Hey, that's a solid team. Patrick Mahomes, David Montgomery, Michael Thomas, T.Y. Hilton, Travis Kelce. Yeah,
and that's a great stack with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and his wide receiving. But it's just that running back. I love David Montgomery, but not enough to put him as my RB1.
Let's see what the future picks looks like, because you have those young guys like DeAndre Swift and whatnot that's going to be heavily involved in their offenses, but they obviously can be afforded to be taken in later rounds. So he might, move some pieces around.
That's very true. And like I said before, your league isn't won in the draft. It's just starting. So you have the chance of trading and picking up people off of free agency. So we're back on the clock. A quick recap after our last pick. When we chose Tyler Lockett, Courtland Sutton, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, James Conner, Chris Carson, T.Y. Hilton, Robert Woods, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, Zach Ertz, Raheem Mostert, Mark Ingram, David Montgomery, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Parker, Terry McLaurin, and DeAndre Swift. And now we are on the clock in our fifth-round pick. Jarvis Landry is there. I like DJ Chark a little bit more than Jarvis Landry, to be honest with you.
Okay. I can understand that, but nobody can do enough talking to persuade me that Gardner Minshew is going to be the guy to just help everybody blow up.
That's true. I can understand that. So we also have some tight ends on the board here. I'm not a big tight end guy picking this early, but Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers are some running backs on there, Ronald Jones. I wouldn't mind going Cam Akers here, but I think we can wait until the sixth round. let's get a wide receiver with this pick, Norris.
Definitely have to get a wide receiver.
So there's Debo Samuel, Jarvis Landry, Julian Edelman, DJ Chark. Who we taking, Norris?
Who are you taking?
I would put my money in DJ Chark.
Well, let's see what happens.
All right. DK Metcalf just came off the board right after our pick of DJ Chark.
Canada K-Mac really upset me, man.
Yeah.
AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Wanted AJ Brown. Honestly, man, we got DK Metcalf is a good pick, but we have Tyler Lockett. So
yeah, we have Tyler Lockett. We really don't need both Tyler and DK. I don't think that'd be wise for our fantasy team.
Definitely not. Right now, we have two players with the same bye week, but that's okay.
Right, but they're at two different positions. That's another thing you guys want to look at when you're drafting this year. And there goes Cam Akers, right before our pick. And Brandon Cooks, another one of my sleeper picks. One of you guys have been watching the videos. I know it. So Mark Andrews is still there. Some other running backs, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, Kerryon Johnson, some wide receivers. Jarvis Landry is still there. Julian Edelman, A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd. What are we thinking here, Norris?
At this point, we can look at our flex or tight end. Man. If you wanted to have some fun and mess up the draft, you can draft Russell Wilson. But that's a good joke. So I like Mark Andrews where he's at, but again, Lamar Jackson, and it's just a weird thing to have.
That's who I would pick here, to be honest. I don't really like the wide receivers at their value right now. Mm-hmm. I think Mark Andrews might be a really good, or Kareem Hunt, one of those two. That's who I'm throwing it up as.
So you don't have much hope or more hope in Darren Waller this year than Mark Andrews?
No. Electric offense with the Ravens. Yeah, that's who I would take.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of Mark Andrews, so let's do it.
Let's roll it. All right. Mark Andrews. Again, this is not something I usually do, but I'm willing to take the risk on Mark Andrews. And the stack with him and Lamar Jackson is pretty nice. We are going to get another tight end later on in the draft too, and that's where we get our big money tight ends too, with like Mike Gesicki. And then we're also going to get another quarterback near the end of the draft as well. So right after that, A.J. Green, Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is a guy I threw out there. And there's Russell Wilson. So I guess Javi Wasabi would have been upset if we took Russell Wilson.
How you feel about somebody like – do you think it'll be early in the seventh round for a guy like Darius Slayton? Let's catch up on these sleeper wide receivers.
Sleeper picks. Well, in the seventh round is when I would be targeting somebody like Brandon Cooks, who already went off the board. Mm-hmm. But if he falls to us in the seventh round, I would really love Marvin Jones in that pick. He's super valuable. He's super slept on as well. And a lot of these teams don't have tight ends just yet. So I could see some of them going for that reach. Another guy like in the seventh round is James White. He's that receiving back. We know Sony Michel doesn't really do that well. Marquise Brown is a guy I would go over Darius Slayton in the seventh round.
Three Ravens.
If only Josh was on the show today, that would be fantastic. We don't have a single Charger yet, which is disappointing, but maybe we'll go get Mike Will in the 10th round. So yeah, I think seventh round is a little too early for Darius Slayton, mm-hmm. and we can get some other guys. Like I would take John Brown over Darius Slayton. John Brown or Preston.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, but just trying to show a little love to the Giants,
A little bit of love. Maybe we'll go get Daniel Jones near the end of the draft. Show us some real love.
Wow.
So, we're coming up on our pick here soon. Some guys that have been picked after Russell Wilson: Jarvis Landry, Julian Edelman, Darren Waller, Tyler Boyd, Sony Michel, Ronald Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Deshaun Watson, and Jamison Crowder. That's another thing. A lot of teams now are going to probably go after their quarterback, and there goes Jordan Howard, Kyler Murray. Some quarterbacks on the board like Dak Prescott. People like Drew Brees, I believe, are still on the board.
Yeah.
Let me give
Are,
you guys.
are you taking a chance on a guy like um, Will Fuller?
Ooh, uh, can I put no times infinity? That is not going to happen. And right after Kyler Murray, disappointing, but Marquise Brown. Um, but no, Will Fuller, his injuries, the team has just made so many changes. I just don't I don't have the stock in Will Fuller staying healthy enough to benefit me in fantasy.
Hmm, I understand that.
Yeah. I do want to, I guess, send out an apology to those in the draft uh, for the late timing. We do have a certain time that we record. And if you do want to set yourself to auto draft and so on, like I said, you should, if you do that, make sure you set your queue up so it could do that automatically. Um, but yeah. And after we saw the heartbreaking pick of Marquise Brown, saw Tyler Higbee, Dak Prescott, and Michael Gallup. So again, Marvin Jones is on the board. There's other guys like Tariq Cohen and James White, I think, fill the same role on their offense that those receiving backs. We could use a little bit more depth at running back. We have some wide receivers already in DJ Chark and Tyler Lockett. But who I'm gonna let's hand it over to you, Norris, and let you make this pick.
All right, so I do understand the James White pick. Good value, definitely in the seventh round, and he obviously gets it done on the receiving side. But I don't know. I don't know, man, because I see that name, Keyshawn Vaughn, out there, and it makes me wonder, like, is he worth the risk? He's obviously going to be the guy. Um, but you're right. We do need some depth at running back. So I would definitely go into running back for this pick. Go ahead and take it, bro.
All right. I think running back for this pick, I like Keyshawn Vaughn as a sleeper pick, but I think Tariq Cohen might help us in the long run. So that's who I'm going to go with. And after once we hit the eighth round, I'm actually going to speed up the clock for everybody. For those watching, this is afterwards. So I'm going to pause the draft at the eighth round. That's not what you want to see right there. That is what we call a freeze up. That is horrible. So I will pause the draft right here and speed up the draft to about 45 seconds per pick. Again, I don't want to keep anybody from going to bed and being late to work. So we are at 45 seconds per pick, guys.
Tariq Cohen. It's an interesting pick.
Yeah, I just like the wide receiver position that he fills at. Wow, that was a weird change. 40. And after Tariq Cohen went off the board, we saw Henry Ruggs, which I thought is very interesting. Aaron Rodgers, Jerry Jeudy, Darius Geis. So Marvin Jones is still there, as well as James White. So we can deep our running back or our wide receiver. Where do you want to go, Norris? We got 20 seconds.
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones it is.
he offers more at the fantasy value. And I mean, honestly, Tariq Cohen and James White, they're almost the same player.
That's very true. I think with Tariq Cohen, and James White, you get the value of a receiving back, and that's really what you want. But we have the depth at running back where we can go and get that receiving back. If we didn't have that depth, we want somebody like an overall running back earlier. Um, right now, if you're watching the video, you could see me go onto our YouTube. Go onto our YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and watch our videos. We're going to be putting this up here in the next couple of days, but I'm going to link this over for these guys in the chat so they can subscribe themselves and watch this video later. So after Marvin Jones, immediately after James White, and then Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. So there's the Giants love that you're talking about. You know who? It's crazy. Keyshawn Vaughn might fall back to us in the 9th round, which would be a pretty good value to me, depending on who is available. So after Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram, you have Matt Breida and Rob Gronkowski. Matt Breida is an interesting pick right now. I know you've talked about them for sleepers. What's your take on Matt Breida this year? What are you thinking from him?
Yeah, I think he's going to do well out there in Miami. Because of the fact that last year we saw Matt Breida be, the speed guy and be able to be productive in a committee situation. That's not easy to do as a running back. So I like the fact that he, even though there's a guy out there, Jordan Howard is out there who was drafted earlier, a round or two before him. But again, with there being another presence out there like Jordan Howard, I just like his, his chances of ending up being the more productive back. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I think overall, like both of them could have a pretty good year. But if I had to choose one of having more of a solid year, I'm gonna stick with Matt Breida over Jordan Howard.
Yeah, Jordan Howard is definitely past his prime. We've seen the best of Jordan Howard in the Chicago days. So,
Which
yeah.
is so interesting because it feels like such a short time ago, that he
Right.
was on Chicago doing what he's doing, but it was really like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's been very interesting.
So at this time, I mean, I think if he's still there, that's a big if. Um, I think the next pick that we should probably look at, because we have Mark Andrews, bye week, same as Lamar Jackson. I want to get a tight end that's able to put up number one tight end numbers. Hunter Henry is out there. If he's still there, we can fill that spot and not have to worry about having a trash tight end fill the position when we don't have Mark Andrews.
Right. I'd like that idea too. I like I said before, I usually go later in tight ends. So a guy that I'm targeting near the same value as Hunter Henry is Hayden Hurst. So I think right now we could go for Hunter Henry, but let's look at some other position of other guys at the tight end position right now. And you tell me if you'd rather have them and wait or go for Hunter Henry in this next pick. So there's Jared Cook. Oh, there's Hunter Henry out the board. Anyway, so Jared Cook, Noah Fant, T.J. Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki is another one that I love. Austin Hooper, Chris Herndon, and Hayden Hurst with 137. So we're at the 106 pick. I think if anything, we can go. We could try and get another running back right here, and see if we can get any value at the running back position.
For sure. And there's also the number 10 finishing tight end in Dallas Goedert that's probably still going to be sitting out there. So top 10 tight end, in the possibly the 10th round, 11th round.
Right. And I think this is where we kind of shoot for our upside picks, where we can maybe they don't have the best floor, but they have a really good upside. So some guys that I would candidate for this next pick: Philip Lindsay, Golden Tate, Christian Kirk, right? These guys right here. And of course, Philip Lindsay goes off right after he comes out of my mouth. So let's look at the running back position. Boston Scott is an interesting pick with Miles Sanders being the only guy there. We know that Doug Peterson doesn't really usually, and there's Boston Scott off the board. So we could see that a lot of people are going running back right now. I kind of like Tevin Coleman or Duke Johnson, but we can wait for them, just like we can wait for the tight end. Another sneaky pick is J.K. Dobbins. We might be able to sneak J.K. Dobbins onto our team in the next couple of rounds. So my suggestion is we look at the wide receiver position and strengthen ourselves there because we have Tyler Lockett, DJ Chark, Marvin Jones. I'm going to suggest Golden Tate showing some New York love. What do you think, Norris?
I mean, it sounds good, but I was thinking Justin Jefferson because he's going to be the number one receiver. Besides, I mean, number two receiver. I give him that. But
All right, Justin Jefferson, it is. I'll take you up on it. So, again, like I said, oh wow, there he goes, Hayden Hurst. That's a blow to the gut right there. And wow, you guys are watching this video somehow. I know it. I know you guys are watching. So let's look at this running back position. Let's evaluate what we got. Zach Moss is another great guy. He's the number 2 and right after Devin Singletary. He's going to get those goal line work. Alexander Madison is a guy that I might take right here too, just in case Dalvin Cook goes down. But I'll hand this over to you, Norris. Where do you want to go with it?
Man, have we drafted a Charger yet?
We haven't drafted a Charger yet, so we could go someone like Mike Williams. That's the best value.
We could go Mike Will. 15 seconds. Who do you want, Mike Will or Jalen Reagor?
I'm going Mike Will.
All right.
Yeah, I like Jalen Reagor a lot, but I think the value paying right now, I could stick with Mike Will, who can get some of that big man work in the goal line.
And he's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor, like I think he can definitely get on the field, but it's more of a question mark on when or if. Another guy maybe I would have gone over Mike Williams, who just went, is Deontay Johnson. He's going to be on the field. He was phenomenal last year, even with the horrible quarterbacks. Not horrible, but just subpar. Subpar quarterbacks. So I think we really need to look at our running back position going forward. And I think, like I said before, we could probably get some like sleeper picks with our running backs. Zach Moss is still there. We still have Alexander Madison, Duke Johnson. These are guys that are playing second fiddle. Like I spoke about earlier, Darrington Evans is a guy that I'm trying to sneak around and grab. But I wouldn't pick him up in the 11th round. Maybe we could wait till the 12th round and get him. But another thing to keep on the mind is after the 12th round, maybe going and getting a top defense too. Defenses aren't something that you really need to depend upon all the time, but it's always nice to have a good one that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, if you were to go, because if I'm not mistaken, John Brown is still out there. Zach Moss. If you're looking at any Buffalo pieces at this point, I would go with the defense over them, over those skill positions, because of the fact that I think that they're going to be a top defense out there, especially when it comes to turnovers and whatnot.
Yeah, I think I like the defense for sure, but I think we just need the depth at running back, because if you look at it, we have Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Tariq Cohen, and that's it. That's our 3 running backs right now.
Yeah.
So I think we just need the depth at running back, and these other teams have already got that for the most part.
Right.
So that's why I would say Zach Moss with our next pick. And plus, if we do get Zach Moss, we kind of be getting him out of value with his ADP at 124. We be getting him at 130. And there goes Zach Moss
fantastic. You got to stop saying these guys' names.
I know. I'm going to start using code. All right, for us, if I say Robbie Anderson, I actually mean Alexander Madison.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Go ahead and let's look through the running backs one more time before we get to that.
Yes. The running backs that are available are Duke Johnson, which, okay. Naeem Hines is another good one. Alexander Madison, like I said, he's more of a handcuff, but he does get some plays in. Darrington Evans is a guy that I like later on in the draft.
Honestly, even though Duke Johnson is who he is, I mean, with his role, we don't know what we're going to get out of David Johnson. We just don't know. And I think there's more liability in David Johnson when it comes to he could possibly get hurt, or he could just possibly just tank and not be good on a fantasy level.
That's very true.
And Duke Johnson, I mean, we saw what he did last year. He's not going to be this blowout type of running back, but he gets receptions, and he is a good piece. But I mean, and we obviously see the points projected, but that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I would say Duke Johnson over anybody else too. Yeah, that's who we're agreed on. Duke Johnson.
It's good stuff.
We kind of get him around his ADP. That's something to look out for. If you can get somebody at their lower ADP and a better value on them, that's what you want to look for in the draft is better steals. So here's what I'm thinking, right?
Mike Gesicki.
Mike Gesicki, yeah. I'm thinking tight end. I am thinking tight end or quarterback. We could still get a pretty good quarterback in maybe Carson Wentz or Daniel Jones is another guy. We could look at Mike Gesicki.
Options at quarterback.
Yeah. So, and then as we get further in the draft, there's Ryan Tannehill. So I think we could wait on quarterback and go Mike Gesicki here or try for another wide receiver or running back. A running back that might be a good steal is Nyheim Hines. They've been playing around with Frank Wright making comments about, who's going to get the ball or not. But I'll hand this over to you with 20 seconds on the clock.
Man, we have some picks left. I'm not gonna jump the gun on a guy like Larry Fitz because I just like Larry Fitz. But let's go with your boy Mike Gesicki at tight end.
Mike Gesicki at tight end. All right, that kind of secures our tight end position pretty well.
Yeah.
With their bye weeks and everything, so that way when Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews comes out the field, we could plug in Mike Gesicki and someone like Daniel Jones. Carson Wentz just went out the board. I think overall we could kind of fit and plug and play whenever we need to play another quarterback, if that. So we can look at some more depth positions. So I'm going to suggest from now on we just kind of look at the running backs and we kind of forego anything else because we have the depth at wide receiver with DJ Chark, Mark Andrews, Marvin Jones, Justin Jefferson, and Mike Williams. We could probably use one more.
Hey, we learned something from last year, and I got to say it. The Patriots defense proved to us that defense matters.
Yeah.
And so I understand the thought process on focusing on running backs and whatnot, but defense can save us a lot of games. They can save us in a lot of games. So I honestly, at this point, we're on in the 13th round. I'd go defense.
I definitely understand that. So here's my suggestion: in the 13th round we go running back. In the 14th round, since we have those close picks, we go defense. Because in the 13th round we can get someone like Darrynton Evans, maybe. I just don't know. I'm just cautious, right? Because a lot of these guys are surprising me with some of their picks, and they're doing these deep dives on guys I wouldn't suspect them to grab, right? So I kind of want to secure Darrynton Evans not only as our handcuff, but as another running back on our depth chart. But that's just my opinion on it. We could definitely look at the defenses. I just think the defenses might be available more than another running back would be available. Maybe.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. When you look at these deep picks, even for running backs, your defense is going to be playing, unless you're the type of fantasy player that switches out almost every other week with your defenses. For the most part, you're going to keep your defense in the slot that it is. And you have, your running backs showed up pretty much. At this point, I don't think anyone that we draft will be making the lineup consistently than the defense that we would pick.
That's a good opinion.
So
yeah.
It's kind of my thought process.
That's a good take. I am one to flip and flop defenses because you never, even though they might be projected to do super well, you never know what it is. So, what I'm thinking is just because of other like playing the game in the draft, right? We like I said, I think we could go another running back real quick or another position that we could fill on the team, maybe even quarterback. And then with that 14th round, we could still probably get the top defense.
Right. Yeah, I think it's good. I'm of course I'm giving you my thought process along on how I draft.
For sure.
Um,
And dang it, he took Daniel Jones. All right, never mind. We're done. The league's canceled. If I can't get Daniel Jones, it's a travesty. But and there's some teams that draft crazy when it comes to running back, right? They fill their that's what they fill up first, no matter what. Oh wow, Ryan Tannehill off the board right after
Dan-
Daniel Jones, and then Naeem Hines. They're they're listening to us, Norris. They're listening to us, and we have to just stop talking from now on. Sorry, podcast canceled, guys. Um, no, but so Darrington Evans is right there, right? And
Still out there. You can get the handcuffs.
I want to get this, and not so much for his handcuff value, but you remember when Deion Lewis was on the team, bro, and he would get these vulture freaking snags
Well,
from Derrick Henry, and just
I don't. I think that Darrington Evans will supersede the role that he played, that Deion Lewis played while he was in Tennessee.
yeah. Well, we saw our first defense go off the board was the Steelers defense, which is an interesting pick over the Bills, Patriots, Ravens. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if
They're a
that's
young, hey, they're a young defense. They are stout out there.
yeah.
So, and that's one thing about picking defenses. You got to know the personnel.
That's very true. That's very true. I think we can forego the quarterback for a little bit because people like Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Drew Lock is still even on the board. So I mean, I'm gonna put it to Darrington Evans, another Tennessee Titans, but up to you, Norris. I'll let you make this decision.
Oh no, I'm not gonna oppose that.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Darrington Evans and help us cap off our running backs for right now. This is a balance I like to see, though. 5 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, a defense, and then some other like spots that we might need to fill, right? Because we have our 2 tight ends with Mike Gesicki and Mark Andrews, so we don't need to worry about later on drafting them, and so we could fill these other roles pretty easily at a good value. Um, this is a guy that we could definitely steal. I'm not going to say his name because they're
Uh,
obviously listening.
yeah, he was a sneaky one even last year.
And the thing is, a lot of people, his draft value has dropped so much because Stephon Diggs coming in, but Stephon Diggs doesn't take away from his role. He's a slot player who has these dump off passes and has the chemistry with his quarterback, who I'm not going to mention because, again, they're listening to us somehow, some way. I know it. Anyways, right after we chose Darrington Evans, Alshon Jeffrey in the 49ers defense. Joe Burrow. Oh, that's a quarterback
Okay.
that was a sneaky pick. I
Yeah.
expected him to go earlier. So now we could go defense, Norris. I'll let you choose whatever defense you want to go with. Like I said, the Bills are there, the Patriots, the Ravens are there. Where are we going, Norris?
Hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Bills.
The Bills it is.
I was gonna say Baltimore because they were the number one rushing offense, and so usually when you see a top rushing offense, you see a good defense on the other side. But the thing is that we've seen shootouts with Baltimore happen, and I don't like that. So I think Bills are definitely more disciplined when it comes to not allowing big shootouts.
I think that's a solid analysis with it too, because the Bills have that division right now. They're the number one contenders for the AFC East, and
You're they've been waiting for Tom Brady to get out of there. That defense is going to turn up this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So I mean, with that, I mean, it's
Wow. Wow. No Tom Brady. They're going up against a rookie in Tua. He might light it up. He might not. But we could probably expect 12 interceptions or so from Tua. You
And not to
just
mention, Jared Stidham really hasn't started a whole lot.
right, right.
So he might as well be a rookie as well.
Yeah.
Some great quarterbacks gone off the board: Joe Burrow, Phillip Rivers. After we chose the Bills, the Ravens, defense went off. Chris Herndon, Phillip Rivers. So this is why I kind of like the strategy of taking a tight end a little bit earlier than this, because I wouldn't want Chris Herndon as my tight end one.
No, thank you.
The injuries, the horrible coaching,
The Jets.
the Jets as a whole. And I also think us snagging Lamar Jackson is gonna benefit us. So here's my suggestion for the next pick. I really like Anthony McFarland, but we're kind of good for running back, and I don't know if our listeners and our league mates have the information that I do on Anthony McFarland. He's been compared to Ray Rice, so I mean you can look at the tape for yourselves. Ray Rice is a high comparison for me. If you're comparing somebody to Ray Rice, I mean that's a lot. I would compare him maybe like Danny Woodhead's, like somebody who could catch the ball. He's kind of smaller, but he gets around. He knows how to make those plays extend. Somebody like a younger Dion Lewis, some guys like that. He's not so much a bruiser, yet he can take those hits and keep going. I would like a good comparison maybe be Austin Eckler. But with James Conner in front of him, I don't see him getting any kind of role that we could put on the team and take off. But James Conner is injury prone, so that's where I think he gets a good amount of value with Anthony McFarland. Right. Cole Beasley was stolen from us. If you guys are watching this, just let us know, because you know every pick before we do it. Team Castaneda, you are a sniper. You're the best of them. So I'm thinking quarterback, Norris. I'm thinking we can go maybe even wide receiver then quarterback, but we can get someone like Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins. Maybe wait just a little bit and go get. Even though as a Charger fan, I can't support him, but Drew Lock is pretty low. Gardner Minshew's kind of low, like I've said before, but they're low for a reason.
Yeah, no need to get Drew Lock because his bye week he's a Bronco and his bye week is week 8, so he wouldn't be of no use for us. I mean, I like a guy like Jared Goff or Kirk Cousins here. They're both in offenses where they air it out.
That's true. And, so I'm going to go Jared Goff. I think the passing attempts for the Rams are going to be a lot higher than the Vikings. The Vikings have a solid running back in Dallas. All right, and a quick recap of our so far picks after we chose. Let's just pick up our player before I go any further. I'm going to go with Danny Amendola here.
If we get there in time.
No, I got it.
Oh, okay. Auto pick anyway. Yeah, it's a good pick. Danny Amendola, he's got a 1,000-yard season, like quietly.
Very quietly. So we have one more spot to fill on our team. I'm thinking we go someone like Damian Harris. We didn't go James White earlier or Sony Michel, but I think Damian Harris's rookie year, he sat out, he took some time. I think they're going to plug him into this Tom Brady-less offense. But what do you think, Norris? Where do you think you go?
That's interesting. For the last pick, that's the person that you would want.
That's the person that, for value-wise, I think might be the best guy. But who do you have anybody else? I mean, let's look at the different positions, right? So quarterback,
No, we can skip that. We don't need quarterbacks.
all right, running back, Malcolm Brown,
No.
Gus Edwards, this dude, Bryce Love. Yeah, Carlos Hyde maybe, but I don't know. Jerick McKinnon is a pretty valuable, but if he actually plays, Frank Gore going to the Jets might do something. Chris Thompson for the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are
you
some guys.
you slid over Rex Burkhead's name, and it's just interesting that you would go a Patriots running back as the last pick because we know how they function.
Very true.
And it's so weird.
They are very weird, and we never know who's gonna get the rock and take it in.
Because if you were to get somebody like that who was just, just a pick, Gus Edwards is a big, because at least we know that he will more than like 98% chance that he's putting up more numbers than,
Damian Harris. Yeah, that's true. I think this last pick is probably going to be somebody that we drop anyways in the first week. So it's somebody I'm willing to take the risk on with Damian Harris, and maybe he does go off, and we could trade him or something. I don't know.
Let's check out a wide receiver.
Let's see what wide
receiver. My guy Michael Pittman Jr.
is gone.
He's out there. He's gone.
Yeah, super gone.
Good stuff. Whoever drafted him.
Let's see. There's some value in Devin Duvernay, maybe T. Higgins with Bengals, Corey Davis, but I wouldn't trust Corey Davis. Here's a guy, super low.
Tyrell Williams.
He does have that Q next to his name, so it can be kind of difficult to trust him. We're about to be on the clock, so we got to make a decision here.
Nah, just go with your running back.
All right, I don't think I'm going to go Damian Harris. We have a couple months before the actual season starts.
You got Chris Thompson. If he can stay healthy, he's not the worst pick.
I think if Chris Thompson stays healthy and Leonard Fournette gets traded, Chris Thompson is a very valuable. So I'm going to go Chris Thompson, the last pick. And that is our draft. Our roster is full, and we'll do a quick recap of everybody's teams. Once we can get out of this draft, 49er Lifer has the last pick. And what's the term that they usually use at the end of the Mr. What is that? They usually call the last pick of the draft?
Mr. Irrelevant.
Irrelevant, yeah. So Mr. Irrelevant is Sam Darnold, which describes Sam Darnold so well in fantasy.
Wow.
All right, so our team, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Lamar Jackson, Tyler Lockett, Mark Andrews, Tariq Cohen, Marvin Jones. I think that's just a solid start right there.
Skip Derrick, DJ Chark.
I did? Oh, sorry. Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Lamar Jackson, Tyler Lockett, DJ Chark, Mark Andrews, Tariq Cohen, Marvin Jones. I feel like that's a solid 8. And then we jumped down. We picked up 2 rookies, Justin Jefferson, Darrington Evans. We got Mike Williams. So my Charger contract has been fulfilled, right? Duke Johnson, Mike Gesicki, Danny Amendola, Jared Goff, and to finish out the draft, Chris Thompson. You know what's funny to me is neither one of us – oh, well, you did get a Jacksonville Jaguar and a Texan. I was going to say, well, we didn't get a single Raider or a Chief or a Bronco, so I'm happy at least. I don't have to watch any of my people do well. But let's for the full look at everybody's team, we're just going to look over them real quick, look at all the rosters. Go check us out on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, that way you could see what we're talking about and see the different players that might have been stolen from us and so on. But yeah. This is another good team I like. Zone Reads. Thank you for the hookup on Instagram. We appreciate you. But Drew Brees, Kenyon Drake, Todd Gurley, that's a solid 3. Julio Jones, DK Metcalf, Hayden Hurst, more solid. He stole my sleepers though. He stole David Johnson, Brandon Cooks from right underneath us. Um, then the Bengals defense is an interesting defense. That is an interesting defense to have on the first week at least.
Yeah.
Henry Ruggs, Darius Geis, another. So basically, your starting lineup's great, but if any of these guys get hurt, you better do some trades, my friend.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because you don't have really any of your handcuffs, which handcuffs to most people aren't super valuable, so I could understand. But man, these are some interesting. Where's the Christian McCaffrey team though? That's the guy that we got to look at because, like I said, he already has a head start on most of us. Okay, so Tom Brady, Christian McCaffrey, Ronald Jones, Kenny Galladay, DJ Moore, Zach Ertz, Calvin Ridley, Kerryon Johnson. Okay, so
Coach defense, good young defense, Keyshawn.
yeah, he's got some guys at running back, but not really the value, right? It looks like he went running back, wide receiver, rather than running back, wide receiver. So that's another, I guess, technique to it all. He can always trade. Just to let you know, fancy intel will always field trades for Christian McCaffrey if you want to send them our way. Um, we're also big fans of Calvin Ridley, right, Norris?
Yeah, man, got a lot of depth at wide receiver with Christian Kirk and John Brown, Deshaun Jackson. Even Rashard Perriman's not a bad pickup.
That's true. I'm not a big fan of anybody on the Jets in particularly, but um, yeah, this is our first ever Flash Fantasy Football League. Some deep rosters, so it makes it a little bit harder as you go through the draft and lets you think a little bit. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check us out on our podcast. So we'll be putting up some breakdowns and some reviews of each team or half the whole team. I don't know. Follow us on our podcast to find out what we actually do. Thank you.